Can you imagine getting up on stage, delivering your speech, and nailing it, and the crowd going wild? Well, in this video, I'm going to give you the framework that the best speakers use on stage. And I'm going to dive deeper into each part of the framework so you can use it too. And then at the end, I'm going to show you how at the end of your speech, you can make a ton of money. And if you'd like my top speaking and selling tips, click the link in the description below and we'll shoot you over my free training. Let's dive in. When I was younger, I wanted to be an incredible speaker. Have you ever had an aspiration or a goal where you're like, one day I want to do this thing? I only had one problem though. I was terrified of speaking in front of people. In fact, one time when they called my name to come up on stage, I was so scared, I ran out the back of the building through an exit door. They called my name and I was nowhere to be found. I remember driving home from that occasion and thinking, oh my gosh, I am never going to be able to get over this anxiety, get over this fear of speaking. I'll never be able to speak powerfully and I'll never be able to get a standing ovation. And that was until I dove deep and went into a journey of discovery, studying the best communicators, the best persuaders, the best people who sold from stage. I watched their YouTube videos and studied their speeches and transcribed it all. And I found a framework. There's actually a step-by-step process that all the big speakers use that I had no idea existed. And here's the crazy cool part. I found out it's learnable. How do I know that? I know it because I learned it and I started getting standing ovations and sudden rounds of applause when I started speaking. And my clients did too. So I'm really excited for you to dive deep into this video because if you want to crush it on stage, this is 100% the framework that you need to use. It's called BITS. It stands for the Belief and Identity Transformation System. What does this mean for you? When you start shifting your audience's beliefs and you start shifting your audience's identity, they will not be able to even help themselves. They'll start to discover the them that's inside of them. They'll start to discover the version of themselves they've always wanted to be. And this is what causes so much motion and momentum and verbal eruption from the audience. They can't help but stand to their feet because they're starting to see themselves the way they've always wanted to see themselves. So it's called the BITS. Let's go. Let me give you a quick overview of the system, okay? It goes like this. It goes I, you, point, they, soundbite. This is the framework that we discovered all the best speakers were using, okay? So let's start with the first part of the framework, I. Start your story in first person. I or he, she, it, if you're telling the story about someone else. First person. I was in this place, I was doing this thing, and I felt like this. Then quickly shift to you. Have you ever been in this situation where you felt like da 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 da? Or have you ever, or you know how when the audience hears the word you, they stand up to attention. Because they're like, I'm sorry, wait, are you talking about me? They go to you. Have you ever been in a conversation with somebody in a cocktail party or get together or a networking event where they only stayed in first person? They were like, I, me, this, me, I. And you started zoning out and you were like, when is this person going to stop talking? Or have you ever been in an event, listened to a conference speaker, and you started noticing that you were zoning out or the audiences was zoning out, or they started picking up their phones? The reason why is because the speaker did not shift to you fast enough. So here's the top tip. It goes I to you. Try to do it as quickly and as elegantly as possible and stay in you as long as you possibly can. So let me give you a quick example. A few years ago, it's a true story, I was in an apartment, a small apartment with my family, my husband, my 3 kids, okay? And I felt like we're always going to be stuck in this apartment. And all I wanted was to buy a house. We were broke. My husband was actually Uber driving to support our family. Have you ever been in a situation where you thought you'd be further than you are right now? You have these goals, these aspirations, and they feel like completely out of touch, okay? So you see what I just did right there? I was an I, and then I shifted to you. Have you ever, are you seeing it? I to you. If you only do this one move of the framework, 100%, you're going to be way better than so many speakers. Okay, so let's keep going. I, you, point. So you're going to want to have an I, you, and then a takeaway or a point for the audience. This will help them feel like you're teaching them content. You're not just telling a random story about like your whole life, like a takeaway. Okay, so going back to what I shared earlier, I was in this apartment, I was going to sing, I felt stuck. Have you ever? And then I'd say a point such as, nobody ever taught me that wealth isn't attracted to hard work. Wealth is attracted to working smarter, not harder. You see how I made a point? So imagine yourself on stage doing something like this. This is where the audience starts writing stuff down. They're like, ooh, dropping gold, giving value. Okay, they're starting to take away. Like, they're like, that was good. So now it's not like you're just telling stories. You have a point. They're like, holy cow, this person has a point. Okay, have you ever heard a speaker where it seems like, do they have a point? Like, are we going to a point? Are we headed somewhere where there's a point? Okay, so the third part of the framework is have a point. So first part, I, you, point. Okay, now here's where it gets so fun. The next part of the framework, you move to they. They is the enemy in your speech or your talk. They have an enemy. There's a great quote that says, nothing unites a people more than a common enemy. In the they part of your speech, this is where you're going to start to unleash the maximum amount of emotion in the audience. Why? There's something innate in us where we want to fight. We want to win. We want to conquer. This is why everybody watches sports, okay? In your speech, have a they. You can make up the they, or I'll give you some examples of some theys that could be in your speech. It could be the man, the system, that political party, the they. You see how much anger and emotion comes? It comes because there's a they, okay? It could be the media. One I've used a lot is the enemy in your mind. The voice of the enemy in your mind may tell you, and then for your enemy, put words in their mouth. They're telling you this. They said that. They said you couldn't do it. The naysayer said you wouldn't make it. How many of you have heard some voices of some negativity, some people coming against you? So you see what I'm doing there? Like in church, the devil is a they. They're like, the devil said this, but not today, Satan. Okay? This is why people are standing up on their feet. They have emotion. They're like, there's an enemy. I'm out. I'm coming against the enemy. So this, if you can start to describe your enemy, put words inside the voice of their enemy, it's going to articulate the types of thoughts, ideas that they are against. And your audience is going to start to unite against the enemy. This is where the standing ovations come. So cool, huh? You'll see, if you study great speakers, you're going to see they've got a they. All right, so the last part of the framework, so where I, you, point, they, soundbite. This is where speakers will land what I like to call a tweetable, repeatable. A tweetable, it's like the thing where everyone's like, oh snap. You'll see the audience like have a verbal expression. They'll be like, sometimes they'll be like, ooh. It'll be like a one-liner, okay? Well, I'll give you a few examples, but you'll think about it like sometimes it has a musicality or a rhyming aspect to it, okay? Okay, so here's a soundbite that I like to use inside my speeches. I developed it myself, and it goes like this. I'll be doing my speech, and then I'll say, because procrastination is the assassination of your destination. And when I land that soundbite, everyone's like, oh, snap. What? Oh, no, she didn't. They're touching their, they're freaking out because it rhymed, it landed, and it was kind of like pop, pow on the audience. Like they're just like, and it makes you look like a literal genius. Okay, so have sound bites. Quotes from other speakers are amazing here. Be like, this person said this. If you want to develop your own sound bites, the website rhymezone.com is a killer resource. Think of rhyming, alliteration. Here, think about the sounds. A great soundbite is more like music than it is like speaking. All right, team. This is the BITS framework. I, you, point, they, soundbite. If you'll do this framework, you're going to look like a powerhouse speaker on the stage. People are going to stand to their feet. They're going to applaud you, and they're going to come up to you in a line of people out the door coming up to you saying, thank you, that was for me. You were speaking right to me. And if you'll do all the above, you're going to shift the beliefs and the identity of your audience. Now, here's my bonus tip. If at the end of your speech or your signature message, you invite them to go deeper with you and you have an offer, this is where you can make tons of money as a speaker. Because think about it, if they don't go deeper with you, they're not going to take the action and they're not going to get the result. So if you would like my help learning to become a better speaker, a better communicator, learning to create your own offer and learning to invite people to go deeper with that offer as a speaker, click the link in the description. My team would love to send you a free training. And I can't wait to see you in the next video.